Be vegan, make peace, do good deeds. Heaven, Godspeed.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Queen Cleopatra inherited a kingdom that had been diminished, but she proved to be an astute monarch, and she quickly re-established Egypt's wealth. Her Majesty Queen Cleopatra VII Philopator, The Life of the Powerful Egyptian Pharaoh, Part 1 of 2. Continue watching to find out more.
By eating plants rather than animals, I make a small contribution towards lessening harm and suffering. I believe that our decisions about food make up both an easy and vital way to change the world. Mayan Giva, vegan.
In the golden country of Egypt, locals say Sabah Khir to wish you a good morning in the Egyptian Arabic dialect. Blessed viewers, I am Kamuzu. The delightful Egyptian people welcome your company and send you heartfelt good wishes. Today we present part 1 of the two-part program, Her Majesty Queen Cleopatra VII Philopator, the life of the powerful Egyptian pharaoh. One of the most recognizable figures in human history, Her Majesty Queen Cleopatra has become a symbol of charm and beauty. However, her true legacy lies in her exceptional abilities as a savvy and tactful politician, as well as a skilled diplomat and negotiator. Genius, courage, and originality ran in her blood. Queen Cleopatra used her brilliant wit to rule ancient Egypt and became one of the most powerful women in the world. Ancient Egypt was always a land of fertility and abundance, attracting communications from neighboring nations such as Arabia, Palestine, and Syria. In 332 BC, Alexander the Great, king of the ancient Greek kingdom of Macedonia, conquered Egypt. He built a port city there called Alexandria, with embankments and a lofty lighthouse that exhibited a blazing star by night. A canal was made to connect the city with the Nile, and Alexandria became a commercial capital. When Alexander the Great passed away suddenly in 323 BC, he had no heirs, so his vast kingdom was divided among his generals. One of them was the accomplished Ptolemy I Soter. Ptolemy had been good friends with King Alexander since the royal's youth. He served as one of King Alexander's principal generals and was very accomplished in his undertakings, even saving the monarch's life. After King Alexander's passing, Ptolemy I obtained Egypt. He settled in Alexandria, eventually becoming the pharaoh of Ptolemaic Egypt around 305 BC. Alexandria developed into a prosperous Greek city filled with Greek workers. The city gained attention from travelers from around the globe, and King Ptolemy invited Greek philosophers, scholars, poets, and artists to settle in Alexandria. He began building the Library of Alexandria, which became one of the most celebrated collections of manuscripts and books. Upon his demise, King Ptolemy I left his huge kingdom to his heirs. Known in history as the Ptolemaic dynasty, they ruled over Egypt for nearly 3 centuries. His Majesty King Ptolemy XII Olides, a direct descendant of King Ptolemy I Soter, fathered Her Majesty Queen Cleopatra. Contrary to popular belief, Queen Cleopatra was not of Egyptian but rather of Greek descent. She became the last Ptolemaic pharaoh and the last pharaoh to rule over ancient Egypt before it fell under Roman control in 30 BC. Born in 69 BC, Cleopatra's name means glory of her father, and her adopted title, Thea Philopator, means father-loving goddess. Her mother was presumed to be Queen Cleopatra V Tryphenia, the sister wife of King Ptolemy XII and mother of Cleopatra's older sister. Berenice IV Epiphaneia. As in other royal families, intermarriage was common in the Ptolemaic dynasty to preserve the purity of their bloodline. Cleopatra's young life is said to have been filled with love. During her childhood, she had a tutor, Philostratus the Egyptian, a philosopher and orator of ancient Greek arts. She presumably also studied at the Musaeum institution, which included the famous Library of Alexandria. Clever and keen, she was highly educated by some of the best minds in subjects such as mathematics, science, reading, writing, languages, philosophy, oration, and astronomy. In 58 BC, a revolt broke out in Egypt, and Cleopatra's older sister, Berenice IV, claimed King Ptolemy XII's throne. Cleopatra presumably accompanied her father during his exile to Rome. King Ptolemy XII returned to rule Egypt in 55 BC with the help of the Roman military. According to some accounts, Her Majesty's future spouse, Mark Antony, was part of the Roman expedition and first fell in love with the 14-year-old Cleopatra at that time. Some sources report that King Ptolemy XII would have made Cleopatra a co-regent in 52 BC. Upon her father's passing in 51 BC, the throne of Egypt did pass to the 18-year-old Cleopatra and her 10-year-old brother, Ptolemy XIII. In Egyptian tradition, a woman needed a male consort to rule. It is thought that the two siblings married and served as co-regents. Queen Cleopatra inherited a kingdom that had been diminished, as well as her father's debts to the Roman Republic. Early in her reign, she faced several pressing issues, such as famine caused by drought. She ordered the distribution of food to the starving populace. Queen Cleopatra was an astute monarch with an ability to bring peace and prosperity to her country, and she quickly re-established Egypt's wealth. Throughout her reign, her main concern was Egypt's relationship with the powerful Roman Republic, which had taken control of most of Europe and parts of North Africa. Queen Cleopatra worked hard to establish good relationships with Rome's leaders, offering them financial support and resources. As Egypt was a substantially rich country, Rome began to depend on its wealth. At the same time, Queen Cleopatra kept Egypt independent from Rome. Both King Ptolemy XIII and Queen Cleopatra sought to obtain sole power, and the king's advisors soon turned against the queen. In 49 BC, she was forced to flee Egypt and take refuge in Syria for a year, before returning to challenge her brother for the throne.
Big and side effect. Feel like singing and dancing. Ah, why not?
Noble viewers, let's take a moment to appreciate the sound of silence surrounding us, bringing peace and serenity. We'll be right back here on Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to Her Majesty Queen Cleopatra VII Philopator, the life of the powerful Egyptian pharaoh, part 1 of 2. The Roman general and politician, Pompey the Great, was a state-appointed guardian over the younger royal Ptolemy children. In 48 BC, he came to Egypt seeking refuge from his pursuing rival, Roman general and statesman Julius Caesar. However, he was betrayed by King Ptolemy XIII. Repelled by this injustice, Julius Caesar concluded that the king was not a good ruler for Egypt. Upon his arrival in Egypt, Julius Caesar set himself up in the royal palace. Meanwhile, Queen Cleopatra, who was still in exile, quickly realized that she would need Roman support to reclaim her throne. Her dream was to restore the glory of Egypt as during the reign of the first Ptolemies, as well as its vast kingdom spreading from North Africa to West Asia. Her Majesty recognized a chance to work with Julius Caesar to regain power. Knowing her brother would deny her an audience with the Roman general, Queen Cleopatra arrived at the palace in a small boat at night and, wrapped in a rug, was snuck into Julius Caesar's personal quarters. From this encounter, it is said that he fell in love with the courageous, clever young queen. They became both allies and lovers, and he had Queen Cleopatra reinstated as co-ruler with her brother. When young King Ptolemy XIII learned of his sister's alliance with Julius Caesar, he was extremely displeased. The couple were besieged at the palace for the winter and in the spring, but when Roman reinforcements arrived to assist them, King Ptolemy XIII was forced to flee Alexandria. In 47 BC, Julius Caesar restored Egypt's throne to Her Majesty Queen Cleopatra and her younger brother, King Ptolemy XIV, who was then around 13 years old. In June of that year, Queen Cleopatra gave birth to a son. Although Julius Caesar was quiet about the event, he was believed to be the infant's father. Queen Cleopatra's child was named Ptolemy Caesar, but the Egyptians knew him as Caesarion, or Little Caesar. Queen Cleopatra is said to have traveled with her co-regent and her son to visit Julius Caesar in late 46 BC. She stayed at Caesar's private villa, beyond the Tiber River. Apparently, Queen Cleopatra's presence in Rome caused quite a stir, and her exotic hairstyle and pearl jewelry became the trend among Roman women. However, in March 44 BC, Julius Caesar's life was taken, which caused Queen Cleopatra to flee with her son to safety in Alexandria. After King Ptolemy XIV passed away in 44 BC, Her Majesty Cleopatra remained as Queen of Egypt, elevating her 3-year-old son, Caesarion, as co-ruler King Ptolemy XV. This situation greatly secured Queen Cleopatra's power in Egypt. Queen Cleopatra identified herself with the Egyptian goddess Isis, helper of the departed entering the afterlife. She distinguished herself with this divinity to further reinforce her position as Her Majesty the Queen of Egypt. We will hear more about this and her fascinating story in the next episode of this program.
Vegan. Hear the animal people thinking.
Virtuous viewers, thank you for your gracious presence today. Join us again on Sunday, January 22nd, for part 2 of Her Majesty Queen Cleopatra VII Philopator, the life of the powerful Egyptian pharaoh. Coming up next is the versatile rice paper part 1 of 2, Olaxis of Vietnamese traditional rice paper making and veggie rolls, right after noteworthy news, here on Supreme Master Television. May you be filled with eternal bliss from the divine.
Be vegan. Make peace. Do good deeds. Hell, not reach.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/MOS.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/MOS.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/MOS.
Programele noastre oferă multe limbi. Vă puteți uita pe suprememastertv.com/schedule și suprememastertv.com/MOS.